Welcome, everybody, to Making the Merge, Episode 5. You know, I had an intro planned out because I thought that I was going to be with Jonathan and Kristen. It turns out it's just Jonathan, but I would still like to do that intro.
Yes. Well, first of all, hey, it's Jonathan here, everybody. Your favorite of the duo of the Wrights, because the other one has not showed up today. Yeah, go ahead. I'll be myself and Kristen. See, watch, here it goes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So you know how they say two wrongs don't make a right, but two rights are on this podcast.
Haha, that was really funny, PD. This is Kristen. Oh, PD, that was a great intro, and my wife and I both love it.
Awesome. I've been sitting on that one for 48 hours. Not really, but
Rome's the best. See, that's my best Kristen impersonation. I might bring it back this episode because there's a little bit of Kristen roasting that can happen from this episode. That's for sure. But
should we start there? Should we just get into Rome?
Oh man,
or like what? How do
I don't even know. It's part of me is like, how do we savor the most of this character that we can? How can we really? How can we get this slow burn rolling? Let's start from beginning of the episode, I guess, and our thoughts around that, and then trickle into it a little bit. How do you feel on that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
Keep
it's
the
merge
people
week.
waiting a little bit.
Yeah, it's merge week, which is a big deal because now we have officially made the merge. That's, I guess, are we changing the podcast name?
Yeah, you know what? I actually did record with put my microphone up to the TV when Jeff said something about making the merge, and I was like, we're gonna use that as a soundbite in the future.
Yeah. Also, I will say that Kristen has just texted me and said, wait, did you already go outside? Which, by the way, outside means to my studio. So I'm not just podcasting in my yard, but I kind of am. Yes, I'm responding to her. Yes, I am recording already. So,
well, she's free to crash the recording at any time.
She could pull a Chase and just hop in, crash in, if you like, or sleep, because we're doing this early. PD, that should show our dedication to this craft we have.
Yeah, this is the first ever morning recording of Making the Merge.
Yeah, which is maybe the vibes are going to be a little more chill. I don't know. We'll find out, but yeah, Making the Merge, we've done it. We made the merge, but I will say that there was a lot of unexpected stuff happening to make the merge this week and this season.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I want to highlight is Andy's excitement, just reliving the Annika blindside. He did it multiple times in the episode. He's just
he
like,
loves
she
it.
is gone.
He acted like she was the main villain of the show. Like it was so aggressive how much he loved that blindside.
I think he described it as, man, that was fun as hell. Like
that was
2 or 3 times.
He kept saying it over and over and over again, and it was just like it almost got awkward. Like it was weird because the rest of the team was like, "Yeah, Andy, it was pretty fun, man. Hey, you remember when we blindsided Annika back in the day?" And they're like, "Yeah, Andy, thanks. That was yesterday."
It's like she was so shocked. It was amazing.
Could you believe it? It was just so awkward. But this is Andy. I mean, he's playing and he's doing it. I mean, he's making it happen. He's cooking around.
It's making me back off the Andy could be our winner thing a little bit. His excitement about Annika, and just because who does that? Who does a blindside?
I've not seen it that way. There's usually like the guilt, like, well, guys, it's a game. Like, we just had to do what we had to do. And instead, Andy's like, yeah, blindsides. We got her. Annika's a sucker.
Yeah, and not just to the camera. He did it
at
to
Tribal.
Jeff. Yeah, at Tribal.
Because Jeff is like trying to get some sympathy out. He's like, blindsides are tough, right, guys? I mean, what do you think of blindsides, Andy? It's awesome.
Yeah. Annika's gone.
Oh, yeah. So that, I mean, he's stoked to be there. Sue, by the way, I mean, is Sue on your team? Is she your draft as well?
Yes, she is. But should we just like go through who all is on whose team?
I have the list here. Do you want me to go through this list
sure.
as we speak? Okay. PD, you have Gabe, Sue, and Andy. AKA, you have Gabe left on your team.
Hey, little foreshadowing. I might have a 45-year-old challenge beast.
Oh, my word. Okay, yeah. And then Kristen has Sam, Teeny, and Caroline. That's a pretty strong team.
Mm-hmm.
Chase has Sol, Tiana, and Rachel. And I have Genevieve, Sierra, and Kyle, which I'm feeling pretty strong about that. But let's talk about Sue. I want to talk about Sue with you this episode because we got to see her have almost a meltdown at one point from, I mean, a previous episode's decision of finding an idol, the pot breaking, it has paint all in it. She's got red paint all over her trying to clean it up to get this idol. Then she goes to the well, starts washing stuff. People think it's blood for a moment. And that was kind of the end of the debacle. Well, this episode, post-merge, or post everybody being on the same island, they start discovering red paint everywhere. And red paint buried. They discover Rome discovers the pots buried that she had hidden.
Okay,
And
what I want to point out is that Rome discovered that in what? Like, I mean, they made it look like he discovered it in 30 seconds. And you're telling me that nobody on that tribe could have figured that out?
Those pots. Yeah. I feel like I don't know. That was like very fast for him to find it. There had to be some time
yeah.
on for that to happen. But she then gave they start talking about it. They're just like, there's red paint everywhere. There's red paint everywhere. And they pan over to Sue, and Sue's face is what I would call just mortified.
Mm-hmm.
She looks guilty while trying to also look surprised. And it was a pretty great moment. Who was it, though, that confronted her? I can't remember what player it was that actually went to her.
Caroline.
Oh,
but
okay.
Caroline's reaction was different than I thought, because I thought she'd be like, wow, my big ally is withholding information from me. But she was like, you go, girl. Like,
yeah.
Sue is playing the game. And I was like,
she's
that's
playing a
perfect
great
reaction.
45-year-old game.
She's playing a perfect 45-year-old epic boss girl game, if you ask me.
Did you see the conversation with Sol and her where they're just like, Sol says that he's like 42 or something like that. And then she's like, yeah, I'm 45. And I looked at Kristen and said, there's no way that they're buying that, right? Like, no one's buying that Sue is 45, right?
I don't think so. But at least Sol was like, man, we both look good, you know? Sol was nice about it.
Yeah, he was nice about it, but I do feel like Sol at this point is his radar for lying is so high because of his exposure to Rome. And I feel like the 45 thing is going to get I think it's going to get exposed that she is not, in fact, 45 before the end of the season.
I mean, what, exposed by the other people's eyeballs?
Yeah. It's just going to be like, you look older than that, Sue. You know, maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, at least Sol didn't start off that whole conversation with like, wow, you're a epic grandma. You know? Like Kyle did.
Dude, my guy Kyle made such a dumb decision to say that. He's like, you're like a cool grandma out here, Sue. Kyle, which, I mean, looks like I've got a challenge beast on my team with Kyle right now, which we theorized about a little bit last time. So I feel pretty good about it. But
It's that country strength.
it's the country strength. It is. He's got that like lean, tall, thin guy energy, that I don't have. And the challenges on this one were kind of intense for this merge stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot. So, PD, run us through, I guess, like what the merge rules were, how this worked this season.
It kind of just worked like a regular old merge. But
Yeah.
Jeff acted like it was a brand new thing, which, like I've said before, Jeff can do no wrong. But I saw what you're doing, Jeff. It's like when a video game tries to introduce like Madden does this all the time. Madden NFL, like the PS2 games had so many features, and over time they stripped them all out. Now they'll go back and add something from like '08 and then be like, "Hey guys, brand new feature."
Yeah, it did. So I guess this is maybe news to me because for those listening, I am the shortest time listener or watcher of Survivor. I got into this only just a few years ago. So in the most recent seasons, I've been seeing the teams like split off into two, and then one team goes to tribal and one does not. And whoever's voted off that little mini tribe is not in the merge, and everyone else is. Where this one was one person would get immunity, classic tribal style, and then one person would be voted off. So would they run the merge that way back in the golden era,
Yeah, there was no splitting people off into two groups of 6 and two different people having immunity thing.
Dang. Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, that's news to me. So they brought it back and said it was new.
Yeah, basically. But I'm worried they're going to do the double elimination next week.
Oh, no.
Like we thought it was coming this week. It's probably going to be next week, and then that's when Kristen will go down to one player. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, speak it into existence a little bit.
Speak life, like Toby Mac says.
or in this case, speak elimination.
Yes.
That's what we want.
But the challenge itself, I thought, was a lot of fun. Like, Jeff is really into mud still.
Dude, they tarred and feathered them. Did you think about this? Like, they, as soon as it happened, they crawl through the mud, and then he's like, now into the pile of wood chips. And when they did that, I looked at Kristen and it was like, this is tarred and feathered. Like, it's almost the humiliation of it. But yeah, he loves mud. He's into mud this season and recent seasons.
But there was one person who had no mud, and that would be Genevieve.
Yep, I was very happy about that. I was very happy.
It was another gold star moment for Genevieve. So let's go back a little bit.
Let's
we
do
were
it.
just started to discuss the challenge, but there was an important part of the challenge, and that was that Genevieve found an advantage.
Yeah, I was extremely happy for this. We were texting Chase as we were watching live because you had to watch it a little bit later than us. And when that moment happened, Chase texted me and said, my outlook is not looking great because of the whole tattoo situation, right? But yeah, they had a little advantage hidden under a buoy floating out in the ocean. And her and Sam almost went for it while they were looking for this advantage. The whole tribe was, because there was a giant sign that said, there's an advantage somewhere for the next game. And Sam opted out, and then Genevieve went back, got in the ocean and got the advantage. And it allowed her to skip the entire first phase of this immunity duel challenge, which this one was like an intense first thing, exhausting. So
yeah, and I thought Sam was bluffing. I thought Sam, he was like so emphatic that they didn't need to go check that thing. That was like, oh, maybe he's just trying to like lull Genevieve and he's gonna circle back. But no, he meant it.
He actually did mean it. He thought that buoy was nothing, which I feel like is a mistake. Like if you see a giant red buoy floating in the ocean and they're like, there's an advantage hidden somewhere around here. I think someone eventually, well, I guess someone did eventually dive into the water and get the buoy just to see.
Yep. And it was our Canadian queen.
Our Canadian queen, our tattoo Hail Mary, as we call her.
Yes. I don't think it's so much of a Hail Mary anymore. I feel
It's
like
looking more and more real.
yeah. I'm praying and hoping that I have 2 people in the final 3, and then it's Genevieve in there too. That's my ultimate outcome for this season.
Dude, straight up, I'll be honest. I've not won a draft of this yet. And if for me right now, my draft win would be her just making the finale. Like,
Yeah.
I want to win. Don't get me wrong. I want to win this whole thing. But part of me will feel like I won if there ends up being an I Love Banu tattoo on Chase permanently for the rest of his life. So, that's what I want to head towards. But she skipped that whole first challenge, and it was like the Ninja Warrior version of a challenge because it had a warped wall for them to make it up.
Those are always fun.
Yeah.
So the blue team, I think they struggled a little bit because Caroline was the last one, and they realized that they needed to pivot. Why did they leave Caroline to be the last one?
I think people get into like a mode where they're just running, right? Like they're not thinking about this, and then they end up leaving like Sue at the bottom while everyone else is up top, and I'm like, great, you left the 45-year-old lady down at the bottom of the warped wall. Like, why are y'all not lifting her up to just get people up there? And then the most athletic people run in last, which we kind of ended up seeing with Gabe. He went back down to then stack and like help people get up, and then he did it twice.
The difference in strategy was Yellow was like, okay, we are gonna build a wall out of sandbags that we're going to carry over. But then Blue was like, hey, we're going to do a human ladder.
They did a classic human ladder, which now that I'm trying to think about it, Blue did not win, correct?
No, it was Yellow because I remember Sue was on Yellow.
So sandbags take human ladder, you know?
Whenever we get to like the separating people by rock draw, or this time it was schoolyard pick. Too,
I will say that was show. They didn't, dude. Okay, I'm so glad you're bringing this up because I got really frustrated by it last night, and then I forgot, and then you just brought it up, and now I'm frustrated all over again. They didn't show the schoolyard pick.
There's an article where Jeff like went through who was picked by who, but I'm like, why should we dedicate time to that?
Yeah,
if Jeff didn't. Like, why should I read who was picked and in what order if CBS and Jeff Probst don't care to do it?
Yeah. They I guess nothing interesting maybe happened from it. Like maybe later in the season when people know each other better in this new merged tribe, if they did a schoolyard pick, you might get more drama because of alliances and things that have taken place. But with this one being so early, I mean, it just maybe wasn't as interesting to show it. But Soul did end up on a team with Rome and Andy. And yeah, it was the blue team who lost. And you could see his soul leaving his body. Like he did not want to be on that team at all.
He tried his best. One thing I want to point out about the human ladder aspect is that they chose Andy to be the most pivotal part of the human ladder, which when I first saw that, I was like, oh no, Caroline is going to get a severe concussion. Like he's going to drop her and she's going to go tumbling.
Scared, dude. They were like, she was like hanging, like she had her feet on the wall and it's just like frantically. By the way,
Yeah.
I'm doing the motion as we speak in this podcast, which is why I got further from my mic. But she is pivoting and going back and forth, and Andy's just, he's just being Andy. What can you say?
Yeah, I mean he did successfully get her up there. I did see where like, he grabbed her foot, and then there was another moment where I was like, oh no, like and he's just gonna tank this, and Caroline is gonna die, and Kristen is gonna have another med evac.
Oh my!
Kristen drafted Randon from last season, who is
The Randon
gone
scenario.
too soon.
Dude, the Randon moment Kristen still brings up because she really thought he was the winner, and then all of a sudden he just collapsed. So we haven't had a medical evacuation yet, but who's to say Kristen could have a second one on her hands, which might be fun for the season. But so yeah, they then had a they then did like one of those. They love the table with the rolling ball going through the maze with the holes in it. They've done a lot of those here in recent years, it feels like. And the blue team had Rome and why did I just forget his Gabe. Yeah, they had Gabe and Rome. And Rome's just yanking the rope, dude.
Way too hard.
Like you'd watch him and he would just, it's like he's cranking a chainsaw trying to get this ball to go around the tiniest corner.
Yeah, that's the perfect description.
It was aggressive, and Soul is upset.
Poor Soul. This is the last time he's going to have to be tormented by Rome's challenge performance, too.
That's true. I mean, spoiler alert, Rome is out, dude. Rome is gone, and I am relieved.
What did Soul say that made him so upset? He was like, can we swap out?
Yeah, well, he did. Soul really didn't say much other than, "Hey, you're pulling too hard, like you're being too aggressive."
And he's like, "Chill, man. We got it. Chill."
Yeah, and to which then, one group would go to like a meal, and one group wouldn't, and then one person from the meal group would win immunity. But when they're all at the meal, the blue team is not. They're on the island, and so you've got Rome, Andy, Gabe, Soul, and is it Sue and someone else? Anyway, they're all there on the island, and Rome just is frantically trying to be a mastermind.
Oh, Sue was on the winning.
Oh,
side
she
of all
was.
that.
She was.
The people who closed out the challenge for yellow were Sam and Kyle.
Oh yeah, yep, that's right.
So that's another point for Kyle being a challenge beast.
He did great. He locked it in, and he just stayed locked in with this ball balancing on a balancing beam thing. But he got individual immunity. Made it another week. Team Jonathan is gonna prevail. I can feel it, but I don't want to call it too early.
What do you think about the bat necklace?
The bat necklace looks a little Spirit Halloween for my taste.
A little Ozzy Osbourne.
a little bit Ozzy. Yeah. It's kind of, I mean, I gasped when I saw it. And then I wasn't sure what I thought. Part of me is like, that looks like a rubber bat. And then part of me is like, it's cool, I guess,
Yeah. I think I would have enjoyed it. I would have tried to bite the head off of it.
Oh,
Probably.
man. Well, it's like a skeleton, so you would have been biting a bat skeleton off the head,
true.
It was, I don't know. It's not one of my favorites, but I think I'll remember it more than I did last season's. I don't even remember what last season's necklace is.
I probably couldn't tell you what the last 5 seasons immunity necklace is.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of beads and bones, and it's wire under it to hold it up. Like, at least with the bat, you've got some novelty and memorability about it. Memorable? Anyway. Yeah, I guess I kind of like the necklace for that purpose, but it does look like a Halloween decoration.
Yeah. But like you said, Kyle's our first winner. And when we went to that merge feast, quote unquote, like half merge feast, because, the rest of the merge people were
on the island fighting.
Yep. Kyle, he looked like the king with that necklace on and in the center of the table.
He did. He looked. I told Kristen he looked like a real castaway when he had all that mud on him. He looked kind of intense. It was the coolest Kyle has looked the entire season. The rest of it, he kind of looks like someone who's gonna, I don't know, like charge you way too little for an oil change, and you're not sure if they're gonna do a good job or not. But he this time he looked pretty awesome.
I was going to say the rest of the time he looked like he would charge you too much to do your roof.
Too little for an oil change, too much for a roof. Somewhere in the middle of those trades and tasks is where you'll find Kyle. But not anymore.
But
now he looks like royalty.
Yeah, during that brief period, where he's the king of the head of the table, so to speak, I was like, man, if this was like Game of Thrones, I think I'd be like, I pledge loyalty to King Kyle or whatever they do. And
to quote Kevin from the movie Hot Rod when he sees Rod in his full attire for the first time, when I saw Kyle, my first thought was, you look like a champion, Kyle. That's what I felt, is you look like a champion. So Kyle might be my guy. Genevieve might be my girl. Who knows? Maybe they're going to both make it there. That would be a good day for me.
Yeah, who knows? They could end up being a tag team.
Yeah, if they teamed up, I'd be pretty happy about it. Now, someone who's not happy about this episode is Kristen, because Rome went home finally,
and it's oh so sweet.
It really paid off. This whole episode, I'm just looking at Kristen like, I can't take him anymore. Like, I cannot physically take this guy anymore in this episode. Like,
That's funny. I didn't have that reaction, actually.
What was your reaction?
I was like, I had kind of come full circle on Rome, and just in that, I was like, I would love for him to stay for our TikTok ratings or like Instagram Reels
Our
ratings.
TikTok is going to plummet now, dude.
Yeah, it was built off the back of Rome.
Dude, Rome is how we got to 1,000 followers so quickly on TikTok. How are we going to keep going?
I don't know. So I just want to say, Rome, sincerely, like, even though we advocated for assaulting you at one point in time.
Chase maybe did.
Yeah.
We'll leave it. We're sorry. His ad money got to his mind. His YouTube revenue got to his brain. He thought he was better than you. Started saying and throwing out threats. So
yeah. Members of this podcast may or may not have advocated for Rome getting assaulted, but I just want to say, Rome, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, and all of us here at Making the Merge, thank you for your service.
Yes, and he will be missed. The thing is, like, you need a good villain. You have to have a good villain. And even in his exit, he felt like less of a villain. He was just playing so hard.
It was funny because, like, on the beach before Tribal.
Yep.
Rome is going around. He's like, it's Saul. It's Saul. It's Saul. Easiest vote ever. Saul, Saul, Saul.
Which Saul obviously finds out. I mean, because Rome's not being tactful at all about this idea. And Saul's face, I would say, is just disdain. Like, he does not look surprised by this. And he looks just so annoyed is the only word for it. He looks so annoyed by this idea.
Oh, well, there's something we kind of glossed over that kind of set up this whole thing, and that was that Rome and Kyle had a conversation. So Rome and Kyle are just, going back and forth, talking about different players, and Rome decides to spill everything Kyle said to like 3 different people.
Oh my word. It was so dumb. It was such a dumb decision because he first of all twists Kyle's words. Like, Kyle, he almost forces Kyle to say stuff about other players. Mm-hmm. Takes that, twists it even more, and then goes to those players and is like, hey, Sue, Kyle says that you're like a threat and that you and Caroline are like, mother and daughter, you know. Or he goes to other, who else did he go to? I can't remember. He went to Sue.
Yeah,
he went to Caroline.
and then he said he was warning someone about Tiana, right?
Yes.
Or no, he was saying
No,
that
he
Kyle,
went to.
Oh no, he said that to Soul, didn't he? That he was talking to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so.
It was Tiana was involved. I can't remember if he went directly to her or not. But he said something about her being a threat, being the biggest female threat.
Oh, and I think he did go directly to her.
Oh yeah,
because he had a huge smile on his face while he was giving this information.
Dude, it was really sloppy gameplay on his part. Like
he could have laid low, and
he could have
would not have been discussed probably.
I don't know. I think he would have been discussed after the challenge situation, but which then he tried to really, give the man like an Academy Award. He started fake crying in front of a group of them because he's like, Soul is so mean to me. He's been mean to me since the other tribe, and we're like up there, and I'm doing the puzzle, and he's just being so mean. He's saying that I'm not good at it, and he starts fake crying, and they're all like, "Oh no, Rome, that's terrible." And then they leave, and they're like, "So it's Rome, right?" Like
But then Rome, like in the middle of crying, you cut back to the confessional of Rome, and he's like, "I gave him a little crocodile tear,"
Yeah, a little crocodile tear. They just didn't buy it. They did not buy it. But there was at one point something that Chase texted in the group chat about this whole situation, where he said, first of all, Chase said, "If Soul goes home, I'm crashing out." That's his exact term. And I agree. I told him, I was like, we're going to witness you actually having a breakdown if Soul goes home, or Saul goes home because of this. But Chase said, "Rome is a snake. This guy is fake crying, bro. Really?" That's what he texted to Kristen and I. So he was boiling. All caps. That entire message was in all caps sent. He hated the fake crying. He thinks Rome is a snake.
Oh, it's because it was directed at Soul.
Yeah.
That's why Chase is so offended. I just thought it was funny.
It was very funny, but he was very offended by this because he thought for a second, what if this goes wrong?
Oh.
And Saul goes home. And that's why he followed it up saying, "I'm crashing out if he goes home."
I think Chase was crashing out when he sent that.
Yeah, I think in the moment he was already mid crash out. But yeah, it was a fun episode, and they voted Rome out pretty unanimously.
Yeah.
Although a second vote got thrown on Andy.
That was interesting. Did you see who did that?
No, I didn't see who did that. Did you?
No, but I can pull it up.
Okay.
But so Kyle really orchestrated led the charge on the Rome vote because
which is great for me.
He went from being Rome's buddy in the morning to F Rome.
Yep.
And,
super quick too. I'm glad to see that Kyle has a little bit of it in him, because at the beginning when I picked him, I thought, oh, this guy's probably going to be good at challenges. He seems like a nice guy. But then as it started going, I started getting nervous because he was looking like he potentially couldn't lead a charge on something. But to see him actually pull this off and really turn on a dime and fool somebody was nice. I'm glad to see that.
Yeah. You know who was not fooled? The audience. Because leading up to Tribal, I was thinking all right, this is way too straightforward that it's going to be Rome and and nobody's interested in Soul. It's like something's got to come and shake up the plan. And then I looked at the time on the episode. I was like, no, there's no time for a shake up. We're going to Tribal.
The editors and producers and Jeff Probst are just sitting in the editing room being like, there's no way we can make this more exciting, right? there's no way that we can do anything. I mean, it's so straightforward. Everybody's saying Rome, and Rome goes home. So what are we going to do with the edit? So they skipped it. They just let it happen.
Well, do you think Jeff had a pretty strong feeling that Rome is going, and that might have been why that he let him? We got to talk about this.
Yeah,
he let Rome sit in the Jeff chair.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened?
And impersonate him. He was pretty much trying to impersonate Jeff and explain why the advantage of the triple amulet idol thing. He explained why it was actually a disadvantage, which I agreed with. I mean, it really, the triple amulet was basically like a waste, you know,
it was like a triple curse.
Yeah, and so Rome sits in Jeff's chair, explains it, says why, and Jeff is like, note taken. And I wonder if we're just not going to see that advantage again, you know?
I think it's dead forever.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it could return with some new twist, but there's no way the mechanics are going to be the same. Oh wait, I just saw who the second Andy vote was.
Who was it?
Sue. Yeah.
That 45-year-old brain, it just got to her. For those who are just joining us, Sue is not 45. She has lied.
No.
Sue does not look 45, you know, but she is convinced that she's fooling everybody. So, yeah, that's interesting. I wonder where she got that from. She just didn't like Andy all of a sudden?
You know, I wish I could somehow communicate with her through the TV. Hey, y'all are on the same team. Y'all are on Team PD.
Yeah.
Chill on Andy, okay?
I don't have to say that because my team's doing fine. They're feeling good, and I'm feeling good. And, yeah. So, Kristen has lost a player. We're all down one player. The stakes are
went
even.
In order, you know. It went, I lost somebody, Chase lost somebody, then you, then Kristen.
I like
Everybody
that
has three.
I like that you said in order. What order are we talking
Well,
about?
just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, okay.
All of
Okay.
us lost somebody
Yes.
in a row.
It sounds like you've got some sort of internal ranking system going on in your brain for us, and that you just ranked Kristen last, which I'll be fine with because it'll get to her.
She did pick Rome.
Yeah, that puts her last for this. So, good episode. I do feel like this season has been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Rome gave a very sweet goodbye at the end. I mean, he got blindsided and took it like a champ. He was actually a great loser.
Yeah.
It almost made me sad for him.
It's same for me. I was like, man, why am I actually kind of liking this guy right before his exit in the game? But I think one of the reasons he had to have been so content was that he just sat in Jeff's chair.
Yeah.
That is an insane accomplishment. Because I really don't think anybody else in Survivor has done that. I could be wrong, but it's at least so rare that that's a huge deal for Rome.
Well, and he even cried. He teared up afterwards, and then Jeff was like, "Well, why are you crying, Rome?" You know, to get it out of him. And he's like, "It's just such a big honor, and I've watched the show." And in that moment, I'm thinking, "Oh man, they're gonna make us kind of like Rome before he leaves."
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And then he asked Jeff for a hug as he snuffed the torch. And Jeff was like, "Of course," and gave him this warm hug. And then Rome was like, "It's been a pleasure, guys," and left. And I do wonder how everyone else is going to talk about it next week. You know,
what episode are we on? 5, 6?
Yeah,
I think
we're
6.
Is it? So this is this episode 5 for us? Is that correct?
Of the
podcast,
of the eliminations. Yeah. Wait, no, this is episode 4 of those, but
because we did
this is episode 6 of the podcast.
Yep.
And Survivor. So, what a 6-episode arc for a player. Huge arc, and we're just gonna have to see what happens next week. It looks like we're gonna be having some drama on the island again. I don't know. Yeah,
that's how I'm gonna end every episode. Looks like more drama on the island's coming for
Total
us.
Drama Island coming back.
Hey, PD, we have an email. We have tree mail, if you will, from a listener. So if you don't mind, I'm going to read an email here from Devani. I hope I'm saying that name correctly.
If I could cut you off real quick.
Go for it.
We could call it tree mail or letters from loved ones.
Let's do letters from loved ones. I like that one. That's fun.
It's a different vibe.
Yeah, this that does bring a new vibe to it. And also, this happens to be Kate that's actually emailing us, but the username says Devani. So who's to say? I'm going to go off the signature on the email. So let's see here. Kate says, "Justice for Rupert." That's the subject line. And then as we get into the email, it says, "LOL, JK." But I'm the episode 1 of 40 several, I believe. You guys mentioned Pearl Island and how they need to run around getting supplies in the village. I just started watching the season with my 7-year-old, so it's fresh, and I just wanted to say it wasn't Rupert that suggested a few of the female castaways flash their boobs for free supplies, but Johnny Fairplay. New listener enjoying the podcast, Kate.
Well, thank you for correcting Chase on that, because
Yeah.
he tried to throw dirt on the good name of Rupert Boneham.
Yeah.
Or Bonham, or how do you I don't know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Boneham. That's like a wrestler name. Rupert Boneham.
This does feel very Johnny Fairplay. So.
Oh, yeah. Like sleazy.
Yeah, 100%. Like the correction makes total sense that would be Johnny Fairplay. I love that letters from loved ones was immediately a correction of one of the hosts. That's the vibe,
and it was needed.
It was very needed.
Thank you. Chase needs to be reined in every now and then.
Thank you for doing that. I feel good about that. And then Chase, if you don't mind, really quickly, I'm gonna read. We had some Spotify comments. By the way,
you just called me Chase. By the way,
did I? Oops, Daisy. Sorry. We're gonna get an email about that.
Oh, it's okay, guys. I'm feeling really good about my team. I got the Soul Survivor. I don't know why Chase is from California.
You just gave. It's like, what's up, guys? It's me, Chase. Oh, you made him from like Wisconsin or something. Like, dude,
I thought he was from Blink 182. He did a pop punk thing at one point, but now I'm just gonna like make that who Chase is in my impression.
Our pop punk king over here, more of a prince, if you ask me. But we did get some Spotify. We have 2 Jonathans, by the way, that have commented. Not me. One just said Q has entered the chat, so we got a Q supporter. That would be Jonathan 1. Jonathan 2 said, I'm not a huge fan of Survivor, but I'm a fan of these guys. So we've got some listeners that haven't even watched Survivor that are hanging out with us. So good news, PD.
Well, that's
good
news.
But
like bum someone's Paramount Plus and or YouTube TV and watch Survivor. It's
you should
it'll change your life.
Yeah, it's definitely changed ours because we now do a weekly podcast about this show
that people listen to for some reason that has charted higher than Candace Owens. That's real. That's a real thing. For some reason, her podcast is in the TV reviews category, even though it says nothing about TV reviews. I did check it out just to see. But we charted higher than her and a lot of people.
We're doing it. We are skyrocketing. And I think that people, we kind of mentioned it before, but drop a review.
We have one that we could read.
That's what I was going to say. Drop a review. It helps us, but we'll also read these said reviews on the podcast.
Yeah, so let's read the first one from Oliver Bisping. I survived episode 4. I am enjoying this podcast as a fun friends get together and chaotically talk about Survivor. Almost like if Andy, Q, and Philip sat down and talked Survivor. Chaotic, and I love it. Not from Canada, so I'll keep listening. and loved the TikToks. It's how I found this and added it to my 4 Survivor playlists.
Oh,
Or I mean podcasts, not playlists.
I was getting ready to have a question about that. He just has the Survivor theme in 4 different playlists. That's big news. I mean, first of all, TikTok's popping off. If you haven't been over there, head over there. We're doing the same stuff on Instagram and on YouTube and all that good stuff. But he listed 4 very interesting players.
Yeah. And we don't have clarification on who is who. So please, Oliver, if you are listening to this, please send in an email and tell us who is Q, who is Andy, who is Philip. And, well, there's 4 of us, too.
Yeah.
So I think we know Kristen's Debbie.
Yeah, we established that she's Debbie for this. And so I guess clarify who is who on the other. And that email is makingthemergepod@gmail.com. But thanks for the review. We appreciate it. So, well, PD, that's it. This was the calmest episode we've had.
Well, there's just a lot less animosity when it's just me and you talking. I think
that's because we're respectful people, you know?
Yeah. And maybe we just like each other more than we like Kristen and Chase.
Look,
I mean, it is your wife, so it's kind of an indictment on you.
I am scared to say anything in this moment because I am in close proximity to Kristen. She will charge out here the moment that she hears this episode. But I will say that Kristen has this competitive streak that really scares me about her. And she played sports growing up. I didn't. So maybe that's part of it. But,
probably.
You know, when she gets on this podcast, I'm sometimes like, I don't even know who you are anymore. Like,
and then her and Chase being that way, it makes me combative.
Yeah.
Too. So it's just, you know, it's a negative cycle. We got to do something about them. We need them in therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, Kristen.
But she is a therapist.
Yeah.
She should talk to herself.
Yeah. She should. maybe herself and Chase. Or it's just going to be a problem. Like, maybe they're toxic for each other in this environment.
Could be. I'm going to be like, hey, Kristen, could you, like, talk to yourself in front of a mirror? And yeah, see what you can do about that. But
I think that's a great idea.
You know how I've been doing the Jeff quote of the week?
Let's hear it.
It's not Jeff this time.
Wait, so, okay. All right. Well,
I'm changing the whole segment just because Kyle said something so funny that I was like, it's not the Jeff quote. It's the Kyle quote of the week. This week.
Okay. I want to hear the Kyle quote of the week. I like this version.
Well, the short one, I guess I'll do 2.
There are 2 Kyle quotes of the week.
The first one is just 2 words.
Okay.
And that's when he got the necklace and he looked at Jeff and he said, "Thanks, Bubba." I don't know if anyone has called Jeff Bubba.
I didn't even notice that. That's so funny.
Like maybe Tom, the farmer guy from All Stars with the overalls.
He
would have called Jeff Bubba, but he's the only one I can think of. And then the other one was at Tribal, and Kyle said, "People are trying to fact check to make sure there's no phony baloney going around on this twisted conundrum we've created on a beach."
Dude, what is happening to Kyle? He has become a wordsmith, but somehow not like huge words. You know, it's like I love this. So, is it going to stay Kyle quote of the week for the rest of this?
It's going to go back to Jeff, I'm sure, because when Kyle goes out of the game next week.
Oh
no, I just did a Kristen.
Oh no, she's maybe she's just in closer proximity. Maybe I should be on the lookout.
Maybe.
Things are starting to shift in the atmosphere here.
Let's end with doing our MVP of the week.
Yeah. My MVP is still going to be Genevieve this week. The reason is because her name was not thrown out there, but she got an advantage, and she did do well in that second part of the challenge. She just didn't make it to the end, but she made it further along. So I could see her being a really, really great player in general. That's why she was my number 1 pick. She's my MVP this week, even though Kyle got the immunity.
I think Genevieve is like the only other player that the only player that's not on my team that I'm gonna be like super bummed if she goes home before Final 3.
Yeah.
Because I need Banu on Chase's
Yeah.
body permanently. It's
1,000
very
hearts.
important.
A
Yeah.
million hearts, actually.
million.
Not 1,000. I'm downgraded.
Way more than 1,000.
Yeah.
My MVP is gonna be Rome, because this is his final episode, and he burned bright. He had another challenge bluster. He was like,
Bluster?
sowed
Is that a word?
bluster. Oh my god.
I think you mean
Blunder.
blunder.
Oh, dude, at least Guinevere didn't do the bluster.
Yeah, that would have been a disaster.
This podcast is documenting my cognitive decline, I think, is what's going on.
Oh man, it's gonna be like gradually people are like, actually, I give it 4 stars because I'm not really understanding PD's theories. I'm gonna give it 2 stars because PD is babbling now. 1 star because PD is just saying Guinevere over and over again.
So, PD, how do you feel about the last immunity challenge? Guinevere.
It's like Guinevere.
All right, what point was I trying to make?
You need that tattoo on Chase.
Yes, and that Rome is my MVP of the episode.
Yeah,
because So Rome had the challenge blunder.
Yeah,
and it was another epic one. It was like, how could you possibly be that bad at this? And then he was sowing discord and chaos all over the beach in classic Rome fashion. And then it blew up in his face while they were giving him like the biggest clown edit of all time.
Yeah.
Like, we knew what was going to happen, but they were throwing in him calling himself Michael Jordan.
Oh man,
and all these references.
And we watched, it's like he's been this villain for like all of these episodes. And then in this episode you realized, wait a second. I don't know that Rome is a villain as much as he is. He's just too passionate about winning this game, and he was playing too hard. He played way too hard. He flew too close to the sun. And I think that he thought himself to be a bigger player than he actually was. So I'm kind of sad to see him go. The drama is going to be missed. We're going to need to find out who our newest hated villain is for the season.
Yeah,
so,
maybe not hated villain, but like I think Andy could be another person who gets the ratings for us because his hip movements are sitting at like 500,000 views.
Yeah, the hip movements really were. It was good for the podcast numbers.
Yeah, What's funny is I didn't notice.
I didn't either.
Chase, I guess, was locked in on Andy's hips, which again, we're concerned about our co-hosts.
Yeah. He's talked nonstop about Andy's hips as we speak. No,
yeah, he renamed our group chat Andy's Hips.
Yeah, he's like, "What would you think if we renamed the podcast Andy's Hips?" And we're like, "Chase, that's a terrible idea. Are you okay?" And then he ran away. But yeah, I do think Andy could potentially be our what's the word I'm looking for? Antagonist. That's what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But I could also see Sue taking a weird dark turn if she stays, because she's got some sort of mean streak in her. I can see it. I don't know.
I'm just shocked that she's somehow gotten away with the red paint thing twice,
dude.
And it seems like no one cares.
Yeah,
or like no one's pursuing it.
I loved the edit where someone was like, "We need to look for someone with red hands," and then the camera like swings to her, and she just has the most concerned face. Her eyes are just popping out of her head, and she's like, "Yeah, we really should."
And then Tiana looks like she just like witnessed something like crazy because the expression on her face. It looked like she found a cockroach in her cereal or something.
Yeah. Oh man, great episode.
Yes,
good times. I think that I think we're gonna get double elimination next week. I think that's gonna be coming for us.
I dread that so much.
I do too. It's because at that point, I mean, someone can lose almost all of their team. All of us have 3 left. So if one of us gets hit with a double elimination, then there's not much left to go around. But we'll see. We'll see who ends up on top next week. But other than that, PD, thanks for being here, and you can thank me for being here. I guess we mutually own this podcast.
That's right. And thank you to everybody who's listened and helped us hit the chart. Leaving a rating, I think, would help us get up on the charts even more. So please do that. Follow on TikTok, YouTube, anywhere, like whatever platform you're on, we are also there.
Yeah. And I would say even, for example, YouTube, like if you're listening on, Spotify or Apple, still go over and subscribe on YouTube because that'll help us out over there too. And it's just, if you like the podcast, help us boost it up. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But, there we go. I guess I'll say Jonathan out since you said PD out last week.
Or at the same time, we can just say making the merge out.
Yeah, making the merge out? Okay,
Yeah.
let's
All
do
right,
that.
all right,
Are you
let's
ready?
3, 2, 1. Making the merge out.
Oh.
I think we were as
We
close
nailed
as
it.
it's going to be.